Fortnite just added in the newest item to the game, the Grapple Gloves, a variation of the old Spider-Man gauntlets turned into a new item. So with this new item, there's a ton of new myths. Let's dive into all of them and break down what's true and what's not true. Now, for the first myth about the Grapple Gloves, it is that they are guaranteed to spawn every single game. And this myth, while it sounds like it may not be true, is true. The Grapple Gloves will spawn every single game at their spawn locations. Now, the thing that is random is whether you will get 1 or all the way to 3 Grapple Gloves. Now, this game, I get extremely lucky and I got all 3 Grapple Gloves, but typically, you're only guaranteed 1 of these spawns. It's just those other 2 that are then RNG as to whether they'll spawn or not. Now, for the next myth, I'm going to be showing you guys something really, really funny. Can you emote while using the Grappler Glove? Now, this is surprisingly true, and it's not that difficult to do. All you're going to need to do is go into settings, scroll all the way down to your emote binds, and then bind something to repeat last emote. Now, once you have something easily accessible, you're just going to want to grapple onto something stationary. Now, this can be a little bit difficult, and it may take you a few tries, but once you get it and you're just hanging there, all you're going to need to do is press that button, and you will start emoting mid-air. This is amazing. You can literally emote while you're not even touching the ground, as you can see right here. I am still floating. I'm not touching the ground at all. Now, it can be a little bit annoying because you still are moving, so it will cancel your emote every once in a while. But this is how to emote mid-air with the Grapple Glove. Let's move on to the next myth. Now, for the next myth, we have a very simple one, but it's still very good to know. You can hold 2 Grapple Gloves at once. So let's go ahead. We've got one in our inventory. We've got one right here. Can we go ahead and pick this one up? And it looks like no, you cannot hold 2 Grapple Gloves at once. Now, let's try a different iteration of this. Can you combine 2 Grapple Gloves into 1 Grapple Glove by using a charge on one of them, picking up a fully charged one, and then combining them back into 1 fully charged Grapple Glove? Let's go ahead and check this out, and if we grab this guy, we can see that no, unfortunately, you cannot combine these Grapple Gloves, and once you use the charges on them, they will not be able to be restored. Now, for the next myth, we're going to be testing as to whether you can pull loot towards yourself just like you could with the Spider-Man gloves. Now, this one is a little bit weird, because in theory, this should not work. The Spider-Man gloves shoot out webs, which is sticky, and so therefore, the loot should stick to it. But the Grapple Gloves are not like the Spider-Man gloves. So will this work the same way? Let's go ahead and check it out, and you can already see it gives you a targeting indicator on items, and you can pull them towards you without even using a charge. This is an incredibly useful feature, especially if you're trying to grab a gun in late game zones, or you're just looting up and you want to get something from far away. It is way easier than running the entire way over there. You can just go ahead and use your Grapple Glove to bring those items right to you. Now, for our next myth, we have do the Grappler Gloves have different amounts of charges in arena and standard game modes? Now, I'm currently in a public match, so we're gonna go ahead and pop open one of these chests, and you can see that the Grappler Gloves actually have 30 charges in pub games, whereas in arena they only have 10, as we saw earlier. So this is a major upgrade, especially when you're in pubs, because you can zoom around a lot more, have a lot more fun with these things. So if you're looking to just play around with them, then I would highly recommend going into a public game. Now, for the next myth, we're going to be seeing if you take fall damage after you finish swinging, even if you're at a very high height. Now, when we used these Spider-Man gloves in-game, these things obviously made you not take fall damage, but you also have the powers of Spider-Man. So now that we only have a mechanical glove with what is effectively a plunger, will we take fall damage? I tried this out. I burnt out all my charges, and I jumped off at a height that I would take fall damage from, and fortunately enough, you still do not take fall damage because it does give you the low gravity effect. Now, for this next myth, we're going to be seeing if these gloves overheat. Now, since they are a machine, unlike the old Spider-Man gloves, will they overheat while you're using them, or will they be good to go for all 10 of their charges? Let's actually test this one out. Now, let's start on by grappling to some of these mushrooms, and I'm just going to quickly burn out all 10 of these charges so that we can see if they will overheat. Now, we've currently used half of the charges, and it looks like, as of the moment, no, they have not burnt out. And you guys can see that we're getting a little funky with how close we're getting to the ground, but we're still able to recast these things. And for our final grab, will it overheat? And it looks like no. We were able to use all 10 of the charges, and we're good to go. These gloves will not overheat mid-use. You're able to use them until they run out. Now, this next myth sounds really, really silly, but we're going to be testing to see if you can refuel the grapple gloves at a gas station. Now, initially, this makes no sense, but if you think about it, these gloves are mechanical gloves, and therefore, they use, maybe gas? We're about to find out. So let's go ahead, grab the gas pump, and start pouring it on. We started off with 9 charges. Will we get all the way back to 10? And it looks like no, this does not work. You cannot refuel them at a gas station, unfortunately enough. In Chapter 3, Season 3, we got the giant new boulders in-game. So the question we need to ask is, can you grapple to one of these and follow behind it while it rolls away? This would be an amazing way to rotate because you'd be able to use your grapple gloves and only use 1 charge. And this does work. You're able to grapple to these boulders and follow them for however far that they roll. And it looks like you're maybe able to control their momentum. I can't actually tell right now if we go ahead and try and pull it. So unfortunately, no, you cannot pull the boulder with your grappler glove, but you can ride it and follow after it as long as it is already rolling. So now that we know that you can grapple items with the grappler gloves, can you grapple items through windows? Let's go ahead and try this out right here, and let's start off with this med mist. And unfortunately, it's looking like you cannot get them through windows. Now, even further than this, can you pick them up once they're in the wall? The grappler glove gets them stuck inside the wall, and you actually need to break them out of it in order to get them. So, guys, quick tip here, do not try and grapple items through walls. Now, for our next myth, we're going to test out if you can use the grappler gloves on an animal while riding it. So, let's go ahead and try this out. 3, 2, 1. And unfortunately, no, it does dismount you from the animal, and you will not be able to use the grappler gloves while riding on an animal. Next up, we're going to be trying to see if these grapple gauntlets have the same animations as the Spider-Man gloves. Now, as we all know, these grapple gauntlets are the exact same thing as the Spider-Man gloves, except with a little bit of a different look, just to avoid licensing issues. So does that mean that Fortnite didn't even remove the Spider-Man animations? And as you guys can already see right there, we just did the backflip that is classic to Spider-Man. So yes, these things have the same animations as the Spider-Man gloves. Now, for our next little bit of a random myth, we're just going to be trying to grapple to the very top of the reality tree with the grappler gauntlet. Now, I'm guessing that this is possible. There should be no reason that you can't. And already off the bat, you can see that we can instantly grab to one of these top branches. Now, it will take us about 2 charges, I think, but it will get us to the top. As long as we use 3 of our charges, I'm guessing you could actually get it down to 2. But yes, you can get to the top of the reality tree, and you can almost get to the glider redeploy zone. As some of you guys may know, there it is. There is a glider redeploy zone at the very top of the tree, and you are able to get to it just using the grappler gauntlet. Next up, we're going to be trying to see if you can grapple to a enemy player. Now, we're going to be using an NPC to test this out just because it's a lot more reliable than trying to grapple to somebody who's running around. But let's use the scientist. Now, let's go ahead. 3, 2, 1, and you cannot grapple to a player. Unfortunately, while that would be amazing, it does not work. For the next myth, we're going to be trying to see if the grapple gun has a different equip animation than the Spider-Man gauntlets. Now, the Spider-Man gauntlets, literally, once you swap to them, you were just holding them. There was no special equip animation. But is there a special equip animation for the new grapple glove? Let's go ahead and test this out in 3, 2, 1. And as you guys can see right there, yes, there is a special animation. It does a little bit of a flourish when you pull these things out. It shakes your entire arm, showing how heavy these things really are, and then you can use them to grapple places. Now, can you grapple a fish from a fishing hole? This one sounds weird at first, like a lot of these other myths, but let's go ahead and test it out. You've got a grappling hook. You might as well be able to grab something out of the water, but unfortunately, you cannot go fishing with the grappler gauntlet as much as I want to. Now, this last myth is more of just a fun one. Can you get a sick wind clip with the new grappler gauntlet? And yes, Yes, you can. I hit a nasty shot, and I thought I had to throw it into the video because this shot was just too clean. He died to fall damage at the end of the day, but it was still really, really cool. So this has been the top myths about the new Grappler Glove in Fortnite Chapter 3, Season 3. If you did enjoy this video, then make sure to leave a like on it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you have any more myth ideas that you want us to do in the future, leave them down in the comment section down below, as we will be reading those and checking out what you guys have to say. But like I said, I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and I will see you guys in the next one.